So how's it going? This is a hiking YouTube channel. I have a world travel map on a website called pointlesstraveler.com. But this YouTube channel, I've recently changed the name to Walkie Talkie, and I talk a lot about walking on this YouTube channel. Been testing gear since like 2005. And what I have in front of me is what I think is going to be the best hiking shoe in history, ever. And this is based on stuff that I've been learning about shoes recently. I really like the Salomons, but the tread on my Salomons was coming off too easy, I thought, and I wanted to find something else. And I had a really difficult time finding anything else, but I think I just found it. I'm gonna show it to you right now. I'm amazed. I just took my first look at this shoe and I'm totally shocked at how awesome it is. It looks like this. And it is the Kona Clayton. All right, so this is the Hoka One Kona Clayton. This is an Ironman shoe. So the Ironman race is you swim for about 3 miles and then ride your bike for like 130 miles, and then you run a marathon. So it's like a crazy, endurance race. It is. Now, I was inspired to get the shoe by a Salomon shoe called the Triple Crowner, and the Triple Crowner comes in tie-dye. So you have the fun and enjoyment of looking like trail trash by wearing tie-dye shoes, and they're called the Triple Crowner, which means that they're intended for through hiking like the AT, PCT, CDT, etc. This one is an Ironman shoe, and it comes in Hawaiian shirt colors. So it is kind of a trail trash shoe also. It's fun. It looks cool. But basically, the number one reason why I chose this shoe over all other shoes is because of what's on the bottom here. This is called RMAT. And the Clayton is actually the only shoe that has RMAT. Hoka makes another shoe called the Evo Speed 2, but it doesn't actually use a sole that's all RMAT the way that this one is. The Speed 2 actually has some Vibram lugs on the parts of the shoe that maybe are going to show the most wear and tear. But the truth is that RMAT is more durable than Vibram. So basically, what RMAT is it's when you mix your tread and your foam together with a spoon and you turn it into one thing, and it's called RMAT. So with a shoe, you've got an upper, you've got a outsole, and you've got your midsole. The midsole is made out of EVA foam, okay? But in this particular case, the EVA foam and the outsole have been swirled together with a blender, and they are one material. This material is more resilient than other EVA foams, so it's more bouncy for longer. It also doesn't rub off on cement because it is softer. So when you press down with your foot on the ground rubs against the shoe, just like with any other shoe, but it doesn't really rub the lugs off of the shoe because those lugs are actually soft. So this RMAT is supposedly more durable than any other shoe. There's nothing else like it. This is the Ironman shoe from Hoka One. And as far as like lugs are concerned, it does have them. I mean, if I stuck my finger in these grooves here, that's about 5 millimeters, all right? So, and this over here, that's like a 1/2 inch. This right here, that's like a 1/2 inch or more. So it's got plenty of space in there for mud. pebbles, sand. It's got lugs that can be used for the trail. It's just that the cleats, the teeth that you usually see on trail shoes, those do rub off, whether you've got Vibram rubber or you've got what's called tough rubber, or, you know, on, you know, like Michelin rubber or whatever, you know, truck tire rubber, whatever it is, motorcycle tire rubber. It's all going to come off, all right? Our mat is a solution to that. Also, another huge issue with shoes is the midsole. So the midsole is made out of foam, and it works just like a sleeping bag. If you're familiar with backpacking and camping and you're familiar with sleeping bags, then you know that when you compress your down, when you squish your down, it loses its loft. It goes flat. And then when you pull your sleeping bag out of your pack at the end of the night, it needs to regain its loft so that it can get warm again. And the faster and easier and more efficiently that your sleeping bag regains its loft, the better the sleeping bag. That's also true with shoes, but the EVA foam that's in the shoe has a tendency not to regain its loft. It doesn't get squishy again. So as you step on it, you squish the air out of it, and the EVA foam loses its loft, just like a sleeping bag. But then when you take the shoe off at night, it doesn't poof back up again. It doesn't regain its loft the way that a nice sleeping bag does. And sleeping bags have a rating for their loft. They've got 600, 700, 800, 900, and 1,000 fill down. 1,000 fill being the most lofty. EVA foam is not like that. They don't have any rating that explains whether or not you're gonna regain your loft in your EVA foam. You step on it and it feels really soft and squishy, but that's because the air is getting squished out of it and it doesn't go back in. So there's basically minimalist shoes and maximalist shoes. The minimalist shoe deals with that situation by having a minimum amount of EVA foam so that it can regain its loft. So that if you only go on one day hike a week, you can use a minimalist shoe like the Hoka, like the Ultra Lone Peak 4.0, and it will regain its loft during the week so that when you put it on Saturday, it feels soft and squishy for one day because it has such a small amount of EVA foam in it that it regains its loft. So there's a minimalist shoe, but there's also such a thing as a maximist shoe. The maximist shoe has like the maximum amount of EVA foam possible. And what ends up happening is that kind of a shoe can't regain its loft the way that you need it to. So, you know, Hoka, they make some other shoes like the Evo Mafate, which I recently got, which is exactly the same thing as the Evo Speed 2, which had RMAT, but they got rid of the RMAT. And the reason that they got rid of the RMAT is so that they could sell more shoes. If you have RMAT, you don't need another pair of shoes. You can use this shoe for 2 years, maybe, supposedly, and you don't need to buy another one because the outsole and your midsole doesn't get worn out when you're using RMAT. So that's why it's not available. The RMAT is only available with the Clayton 2, and the different variations of the Clayton, like this Trail Trash version, the Kona Clayton. Okay, so Yeah, I mean the Lone Peak 4.0 is good if if you're only gonna go for a day hike once a week on Saturday. Since it's a minimalist shoe with a minimum amount of EVA foam, that regains its loft during the week while you're not wearing it, and then it feels soft and squishy on Saturday, and you can hike for one day with it, and that's it. But with a Maximus shoe like the Evo Mafate, which I've recently owned, the air squishes out of it, and then you get something that feels kind of soft and sluggish and squishy and kind of flat like a flip-flop. Not to mention that, you know, a lot of the shoes are kind of designed like a flip-flop. Ultra and Keen specifically, they just have like a flat bottom shoe that's kind of like walking on a flip-flop with a sandal with a top on it. Some of these other shoes, they have more of a bucket seat where the EVA foam rises up on the side and your heel kind of sinks down in there, like the seat in a NASCAR where you're kind of sitting down and you're protected on the side so that your heel doesn't slide from side to side. It's like sunk down in there. Okay? They also will use a softer foam in the back and a more firm foam in the front to give the illusion of being propelled forward. But none of that stuff is really effective because as the air squeezes out of your EVA foam, it doesn't ever go back in there and the shoes have to be replaced. And that's the entire design of the shoe, is that the shoes need to be replaced. Now with Salomon, I think what they do is they laminate their EVA foam so the air can't get out. So when you buy a pair of Salomons, they're not that squishy. The EVA foam is kind of firm and it gives you a lot of protection from the ground. And that's because they laminate the EVA foam so that the air can't get out. But the issue with that is that the lugs on the bottom of the Salomons come off. Okay, so they've got like the Speed Cross Pro or something. It's got like soccer cleats on the bottom. Those just come off. Okay, and that's where our mat steps up. Our mat doesn't come off like the lugs on the Salomon, okay? So even though the Salomon's got a pretty steadfast midsole, it's got a great EVA foam in the center that doesn't lose its loft. It has regular lugs on the bottom that come off, okay? And then as far as the upper, what you want mostly is you want hydrophobic. You want a quick drying hydrophobic upper, which a lot of shoes have. And, you know, if you look at the Hoka Torrent, they've done major upgrades to the upper on the shoe, where this is a 2017 model, but the 2019 model is like much more ventilated and more, you know, it's more hydrophobic and more quick drying than before. So this shoe, the Clayton, it's awesome. First of all, it's a cool color. It looks like a Hawaiian t-shirt. Otherwise, it's like neon red colors. It's fun. This raised bucket seat style EVA foam on the side that protects you from the mud. So when you step in the mud, it just goes up to there. It just basically, this gets covered with mud and it protects you from the mud. It's got the hydrophobic top and the bottom is all arm mat. So this isn't gonna come off, you know? Bam.